You might be wondering why I'm here, standing in the dark, whispering at you. Maybe not. Perhaps this seems like my normal behaviour. But this week, I'm out in the hills of Devon to find a species of bird which has a strange connection to our favourite rewilding species, the bison. But first, let's see if we can't find this bird. You may have heard of nightjars before, but if not, you can think of them as the Frankenstein child of a kestrel and a bat, night-flying insectivores with a moustache of whiskers which swoop across heathland like this one, searching for their moth prey. By day, they hide motionless, the spitting image of a log, but by night their churring fills the air like a skipping CD or a fingernail dragged across corrugated cardboard. The best way of getting these birds to approach is mimicking the white wing flashes of their breeding display flight. In other words, by flapping a hanky around. So let's give it a try, shall we? As the moon rose, I turned up the settings on the camera to try and maximise the light coming in. And then suddenly, there they were, all around us. That was amazing. The nightjar circling all around us, calling too. Well, there was a bat just up there as well. What you really want to know though is how nightjars are connected to bison. So I'm going to go back into the daylight and have a proper explanation of that. Let's see if I can't get this one in focus. Nightjars are definitely a native species, but European bison, well, they're more like a black hole for classification. But what is a native species? Well, it's something that arrived on an island naturally, since the last ice age, or was already around at that time. Beavers fit that description, as there's evidence that teeth marks in preserved wood that dates back to as recently as the 14th century in England, although it wasn't until recently that the government decided to update their classification to a native species. But the thing about using our archaeological record to define a native species is that, well, the record is a bit like a jigsaw, where someone's lost half the pieces. We don't have fossils or evidence for every animal, and here's where nightjars and European bison come in. Neither of them has an archaeological record in the UK, but nightjars are absolutely accepted as a native species. There's no question of that. Whereas European bison, which are also called Wisent or Wisent, are typically described as non-native. In this video, you can see Wisent at the new Wild of Blean project in Kent, where, appropriately enough, they're opening up heathlands, creating perfect habitat for nightjars. So, this non-native classification of Wisent may be wrong. Just like nightjar, it may well be that European bison bones haven't been found in Britain simply due to their scarcity or bad luck. It could be that next Thursday they turn up in a cave somewhere. Scientists believe that the Wisent species emerged when ancient auroch cattle interbred with steppe bison, but steppe bison fossils have been found in Doggerland, the land bridge between Britain and Europe, and auroch bones were also found at sites across the UK. According to experts, many of these auroch bones may even be European bison bones. It's just too hard to tell them apart. The amazing land bridge, Doggerland, emerged from the English Channel long after Wisents first materialised on the continent, connecting Britain to France and the rest of Europe, just like the Channel Tunnel today, only slightly less expensive. Given that cave paintings and bones of Wisents were found in France around the time that this land bridge emerged, it seems likely that this species could have travelled across the land bridge at least a few times during its multi-millennia long existence. Even a few random crossings could have established a population of European bison in the UK. So, there's a danger to conclusively stating that European bison are non-native, as if we actually have a genuine understanding of that fact. The public tends to be more accepting of native species in conservation projects, for good reason. This stigma can hold back bison reintroduction programs like Wild of Blean. It makes these projects feel more like Jurassic Park than a conservation programme, when their aims are actually to restore natural processes. Just the other day, I saw birdwatchers complaining that white storks were non-native in the UK, and that, therefore, the white stork reintroduction programme was unjustified and unnatural, when there's actually solid archaeological evidence that these birds lived in the UK within the last 2 millennia. It's important, though, to communicate this evidence to the public. We shouldn't underestimate their appetite to learn about the species that we're reintroducing. Reintroduction programs do have a tough job. They can't just breed and release the species into the environment. Rewilding is about both nature and people, and it's important to make sure that the public understands the science behind a project and feels that the project is justified. Kent Wildlife Trust is doing a fantastic job of that, with their staff doing double duty as conservationists and champions of the Wilder Bleam Bison project. It's worth taking a look at the project, as it shows how putting public relations at the heart of rewilding can turn a reintroduction programme into a real success story. You might be wondering why I'm standing in the dark, whispering at you. I'm not whispering, am I? Is that less creepy from that angle, that torch?
It's sort of.
I can't see you at all now. So.
Okay, ready?
So tell me when.
Now.
Well, did you see that? Even a few random crossings could have established a population of... God, that's more like a black hole for classification. And there's a plane.